It's another exciting episode of Business Roundup, and my name is Wadulo Mark Arnold. This week we shall take a look at the World Economic Forum, despite the fact that the expected world leaders didn't turn up. And then we shall also take a look at the Africa financial market and how it's starting to show signs of progress. Don't flip the channel because it's time for business. In our first story, the African continent's financial market is showing signs of progress amid regional economic weaknesses. This is according to ABSA Africa Financial Markets Index released this week. Now, this financial report pays special attention to policies to enhance market growth, financial inclusion, and investor education.
The index is a benchmark for the investment community to gauge the country's performance and highlight how they can learn from others. Uganda is among 20 African countries whose financial market development was evaluated. Uganda's 2018 performance was stable according to the index, with good foreign exchange access but low local investor capacity.
Where you see the green circles, those are countries that improved their score from 2017 to 2018. So you'll see here immediately that most countries are improving. And certainly Uganda is one of the countries that's seen its score increase. So you get this sense that just to stay in place, you got to be running pretty hard. In the detail, and this stuff is covered in sort of pages 8 and 9. And so this is very small font, but let me put some circles around this. This is looking at the individual pillars and the ordinal ranking in those individual pillars. So you can see that for the second pillar, access to foreign exchange, was Uganda's strongest showing, coming in about third overall with a score of more than 80. Uganda's weakest showing was in Pillar 4. That was talking around the capacity of local investors, the types, the depths they have in the investments and what they're able to access, with the other 4 pillars being kind of mid-market. But with sort of the promise of using this index to encourage discussion between countries.
Although government boasts of a robust economic growth, economists are however doubtful of an all-inclusive growth.
So I think we are at an era of where we need to de-risk the economy, to rethink our economic strategies for inclusiveness. Nobody is going to run in here and bring FDI if there is no sufficient demand in the economy. And the lack of demand within this economy speaks to the exclusion that we are experiencing and which we need to resolve. So I think a lot of people are not engaged in the part of the growth of the economy, and we need to find ways on how to hook them onto that growth so that this plane does not leave them. I would rather the plane is delayed and wait for those people to get on board. So when you hear the narrative, and I'm glad the paper discusses the rethinking of Africa rising. If Africa is going to rise without Africans, you have a problem. That Africa would rather not rise. I'll end my initial remark, with an illustration of a cheetah. They talked of lions on the move. Now, when African lions move, you better get worried. You don't celebrate lions moving. They might be heading for you, or they are running away. That environment is now very hostile. A cheetah is the fastest running animal. It reaches its speed 0 to 60 miles an hour in just about 3 seconds. But a cheetah cannot go beyond 20 seconds of running. Just 20 seconds. So the longest a cheetah can cover is a quarter of a kilometer. So when you hear praises of African economies moving very fast, I want to find out what is making them move. Are they lions? Are they cheetahs?
Africa is on the rise, which financial experts believe resilient and deeper financial markets are essential for transformation.
In the graphic that we saw a little bit earlier, we will see that in Nigeria, it's gone from sort of 5% plus minus to more than 40%. Now, I don't know what the magic number is. Different countries will have different magic numbers. But we know at some point, right, if so much of your tax being paid today isn't building the economy for tomorrow, but it's just servicing debt, you know that you're in trouble. And that's how I think about debt sustainability. So in that regard, there's no magic number. 19%, it would be better if it were 10. We'd be much more worried if it was 30. I don't know whether we've reached sort of some cusp here. But what we must, in each and every year, when we're thinking about budgets, in each and every year we're thinking about deficits and investment programs, we must bear in mind this idea of debt service.
The second edition of the ABSA Financial Markets Index comes when emerging markets economies are under pressure, currencies depreciating, growth slowing, and interest rates rising. Dennis Igoa and Robin Yoso for UBC News.
The tourism industry of Uganda registered over $1.4 billion in foreign exchange earnings in the financial year 2017-2018, making it the best performing year it has ever had since. It is with this success that various sector performers have come together in an effort to tackle the sector's emerging bottlenecks and pave way for its double-digit growth. After registering success in the financial year 2017-2018, actors of the tourism sector are now engaging in opportunities that ensure the sector maintains its growth.
The Innovation Series is going to provide a platform for them to be able to discuss and share ideas on how they can embrace creativity and leverage it to grow their businesses for the better.
Innovation Series is a set of annual thought leadership events that promote innovation in business through having debates. This year's occasion will address the bottlenecks in the hospitality and tourism industry.
We are coming together to try and put together a platform that will enable people in the hospitality business and tourism business to be able to create new ways, creative ways of delivering services, creative ways of delivering better experiences to tourists, and even when we say tourists, we mean local and foreign.
This year's tourism sector theme is sharing our story in order to achieve bigger tourism numbers through the digital transformation era.
ICT, without a doubt, has significantly changed the landscape when it comes to tourism. The people that are doing the most publicity are no longer the advertising companies, on CNN and what. No, it's the individual that takes these pictures and puts them on Facebook, and everybody within his circle sees these pictures and wants to come to Uganda too.
The stakeholders will tackle pertinent issues. For UBC Business, Amoge Charlotte and Wadulo Mark Arnold. The Parliamentary Committee on Natural Resources has tasked UMEME to implement the free power connection policy without further delays. Now, despite the enactment of the policy, there are no tangible results on ground, observed the MPs. UMEME, on its part, assured government of a smooth rollout in the coming days after securing the necessary equipment.
And my question is, were you consulted? And if you were consulted, did you advise government appropriately so that money is found in order for the policy to be effectively implemented?
The Parliamentary Committee on Natural Resources has tasked UMEME to expedite the free connection policy. The policy, supported by government and development partners, seeks to bring at least 300,000 new users onto the power grid and ensure a 60% power access by 2027. This was observed at the Energy Sector Symposium in Kampala. UMEME officials, led by the Managing Director, Celestino Babunji, labored before legislators to explain the current status of the policy implementation and the hiccups.
The policy was announced on 1st November 2018. And as a business, most of our inputs are imported. It takes a minimum of 4 months to turn around logistics from import to the country. We faced initial challenges in terms of materials required to connect the ramped up numbers. But as we have seen now from January onwards, we are catching up in terms of our logistics are in and we are connecting at the moment.
UMEME was also tasked to explain why power outages in Kampala are so rampant.
Your response time when faults are reported, it's not yet up to the desired speed. There are some areas. I remember on New Year's Day, the whole of Kabalagala got a blackout. We kept calling, and we were getting responses, and they kept telling us that the engineers are on the way, and they did not appear until 4 o'clock.
We are not immune. These are storms that are taking down billboards. These are storms that are taking down trees. These are storms that are flooding the roads we use to reach these areas. And then the same storms, when they hit trees, the trees hit our networks and take us down. Our ambition is to ensure that customers have supply all the time. And as UMEME, we are working full time.
With an annual target of 200,000 connections, UMEME called for more government support in various key areas.
I would say the first one is related to energy losses. What we are saying is this matter has been outstanding for long. We need a legislative regime which is penaltative, stiff penalties related to power theft. The second element we are telling them, legislators, is to ensure there is adequate funding for the transmission company to complete the backbone, investment in the backbone and interconnection with the generation plants. The third request we have put to them is to ensure there is adequate funding to the Rural Electrification Agency related to the electricity connection policy, so that we can connect customers for free, but they are funded by government. There would be a mismatch if you want to connect for free and there's no funding.
Currently, Uganda has excess generation of power, suppressed demand, but reliability of supply is inadequate. The key to unlocking this challenge is investment. Dennis Ikoa and David Matovu for UBC News.
Pig farming is a profitable venture, especially in Uganda, where the consumption of pork is higher than most African countries. Jen Adah, a commercial farmer, is investing in pig farming, and she's optimistic of greater socio-economic impact. Our reporter Joseph Bule visited Jen's farm in Kasanje district.
The rearing of pigs is a profitable venture with a potential to improve one's prosperity. Though a number of people disregard the pigs with associated flora around them. Good husbandry practices have come to turn around all this.
I started with 3 mothers which were pregnant, and my target was not to spend a lot on piglets, feeding them, waiting for them to grow for 8 months, and they start multiplying. My target was to start small, spend little, and get something big quickly.
Jen Adah, the owner of Dependable Farm in Kasanje MPG district, highlights the key factors about rearing pigs to get the best out of them.
Washing them, hygienic to bathe them. Secondly, for their comfort, pigs love water. When you pour on them water, they feel alive. That's why we bathe them. For hygiene, and just to make them feel well. They make sure they clean the housings, they disinfect them, they keep water all throughout in the sties, and feed the pigs on time.
Jenny's decision to join farming started a year ago after she devoted more time into piggery rearing.
I was in construction for about 15 years, but it wasn't paying. It involved a lot of stress, hard work, and it would take like a lot of, very many months to get projects. So most of the time I would be in office. It would take like 6 months to have no project, or just in office seated. I was like, what can I do besides this? So what came in my mind was farming.
As a pig farmer, the initial investment is directed towards the breed, housing, and feeds. Feeding pigs counts for about 60 to 70% total cost.
The price for the pigs vary depending on the size. The piglets, each piglet of 1 month goes at 100,000, 2 months 200. Then a pregnant show ranges between 900 to 1.2, and a male That's a boa, is 1 million. For an animal to look healthy, we normally do feeding 3 times. We do in the morning around 10. That's like any other feeding creature. So for us, we thought it would be wise to feed them 3 times a day. That's morning, that's like breakfast, lunch, and supper. So we have to divide their meals. If a pig eats 3 kgs a day, we give it 1 in the morning, 1 for lunch around 2, and then the other one at 5, between 5 and 6.
Piggery requires a lot of commitment, and before investing, one should take time to plan, know the product, market, and resources required.
If their intention is to do piggery as a business, that's not very wise to tie the pigs on ropes, because one, it's suffering. If an animal is tied day and night, the growth is tampered with. It won't feed freely. It won't feed freely, and the happiness also matters. Because for a pig, it's good for it to be independent and free, like any other animal. When it wants to eat, it eats. When it wants to drink, it drinks. But sometimes you might tie it in one place, yet the water source is far. It will be restricted from taking the water, and that affects the growth.
Now Jane aims to sell 20 pigs per week or more, and also to provide consultancy to farmers who want to learn. Joseph Bure, UBC in Kasanje, Mpigi district.
Cosmetics users have been cautioned against randomly picking products off the shelves and using them. According to Dr. Gassim Salah, a renowned Sudanese cosmotherapist, these products can be very harmful to the user if not applied correctly. Dr. Gassim made these remarks at the launch of Kawethron, a global cosmetic therapy clinic in Kampala.
The African market is infiltrated by cosmetic products from across the globe, some fake or don't meet the international health and safety standards.
We have the first layer called the stratum corneum, second layer called the epidermis, the third layer called the dermis. Now, crossing these layers, then after the dermis, you reach actually the blood supply and the blood flow of your skin. So most of the people, what they do, they actually burn their first layer, which is the stratum corneum. They just take it almost off. What actually happens, you see when they take it off, even when they're black, it becomes reddish in coloration. The redness in coloration states you the size of the dermis, which is already provided with a lot of blood supply, number 1. Number 2, it indicates inflammation of the area. So this kind of skin condition, it requires a medical treatment first, and then a cosmetological treatment second.
Dr. Gassim was addressing stakeholders in the cosmetic and therapy sector at the launch of the Kawethron Cosmotherapy Clinic in Bunga, a Kampala suburb. Uganda becomes the first destination outside Sudan where the clinic is headquartered. According to the investors, Uganda has a rich potential for investment, and that is what influenced the investment decision.
And we choose Uganda actually to our first place for a very specific reason. The first reason for that is Ugandans are very friendly people, of course. The second reason, Ugandans are actually highly educated about beauty, and that would make it easy for us in order to maintain a good quality. Because for us, if we get a client and we start doing the treatment regimen for them, and they just go up there and sneak and buy things from different ways and come back again to the clinic and go out and come back again to the clinic, usually that will affect our repetition in a way.
Despite the growth of the cosmetic industry in Africa, the sector is hampered by mistrust and incompetent cosmetologists, a situation that is exacerbated by weak policies and regulations. Charlotte Amuge, UBC News.
After Trump, Macron, Putin and May cancelled this year, influential politicians were in short supply at the World Economic Forum. All the more attention was given to those that showed up, like Germany, Japan, Uganda, among others. Let's take a look at some highlights.
German Chancellor Angela Merkel appeared more than happy to promote her agenda in the crowded hall in Davos. I think we should understand our national interest in a way that we think about the interest of others, and from that, create win-win situations that are the precondition for multilateralism. That was apparently aimed at politicians like Donald Trump, who put the interests of their own country first. Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe also made it clear in Davos he remains committed to open markets. No growth without free trade. Abe focused above all on digitization and borderless data traffic.
The engine for growth, if you think about it, is fueled no longer by gasoline, but more and more by digital data.
The hustle and bustle in Davos is as international as usual, but the atmosphere is more subdued. Brexit, climate change, stronger nationalism. Instead of the world improving, the future seems increasingly uncertain. The trade conflict between China and the USA hasn't been resolved either, and China is pleading for a reprieve. The US and Chinese economies can't live without each other. That's already the reality. So, the conclusion is that the relationship must be mutually beneficial and win-win. Cooperation serves the interests of both sides, while confrontation harms them. This is a basic principle. Everything sounds reasonable. Improve the world, treat each other fairly. Everyone here agrees. But the world outside of Davos looks different.
As Uganda, what do you think, what opportunities do we have that we are not yet expediting?
Oh, you have so many opportunities. I mean, first of all, you have so much knowledge. And so you have the history of coffee here, the birthplace of Robusta and the birthplace of coffee. So one opportunity you have is to let the world know that this is where coffee was born. Not just Robusta, but where coffee was born. You also have so many tourists and people who come to Uganda for reasons other than coffee. But they get to meet people here, they form connections, they come home, and they tell the story of the people they met. It's for this reason on the UCDA tours. When we go west, we go to see the gorillas. When we go east, we make sure to stop at where? Mississippi Falls and Jinja, so that when they come home, they can talk about more than just coffee. They can talk about their entire experience.
In our Sounds of Business, we're in Kampala, Uganda's capital city. The skyline is amazing. The city is bursting with activity. However, if you're caught in the rush hour, the traffic jam can be crazy. As we wrap up this week's episode of Business Roundup, I'll leave you with a simple tip of business. Slash or remove any unnecessary spending. Why? It is then that you might realize that you actually make more money than you think you do. Save it up and put it in another business venture. My name is Wadulo Mark Arnold. Catch me on the next episode, same time, same place. From the team and I, it's goodbye.